Hey everyone, and welcome to this video where I'm turning my old neglected fish tank into a blackwater riparium. My current setup has guppies, crebensis, catfish and shrimp. It also has a lowly tetra in there, and it's just looking bad. It's full of snails and plants, but that's about it. It gets its weekly water change, and I decided to change it up a bit. To do this, I've soaked some wood for a couple of days, although this was clearly not enough, as it decided to float away. I also boiled some leaves to extract some tannins and also sterilise them. The extracted tannins I put aside and saved for later on. The tank itself I drained into a big yellow 40-litre bucket. From here I was able to add the fish, the filtration system and a heater. This kept the filter media cycled, it kept the fish happy temporarily, and it allowed somewhere for my plants to go whilst I was doing the change in the tank. I also included a few floating plants that I would transfer across. Once I did this, I drained the rest of the water into a container to save for later. I then removed all of the substrate and kept hold of anything I wanted, such as pebbles and rocks. I then decided to use a bag full of soil as the main part of the substrate. I covered this in sand. This is because I plan to have Val in the tank, and the Val would love to use the dirt as nutrients, and also the bag kept the soil from floating away, unlike a dirtied tank where any soil can come up through the sand and muddy the water. Once I filled the sand up, I had a look around at ways to place the various new bits I had purchased. One of them was this fiberglass rock. I think it's either fiberglass or plastic. I added the woodscape and started to get an idea. Now, the wood I did not boil long enough, nor did I save it in the water long enough, and therefore it kept floating. So you'll see it towards the end of the video. I did use bricks and pieces of slate to hold it down. I then wet the substrate and added about 1 inch of water above the substrate, just so I knew how it would sit and to ensure that it didn't need cleaning, etc. Adding a light gave me better visuals, so then I was able to work out where I wanted to plant and place any of the bits I took out of the original tank. I cleaned all of these off to ensure that no bladder and other snails came across, because they were a bit of a blight on the old tank. I then removed any floating debris that I had broken off. Adding pebbles, I wanted to make the scape look like a riverbed, and it just cleared up and made it look a bit better and stopped there being large areas of bare sand. I then filled the tank with water, replaced the fish, and went about putting a new light on. The new lights I'm using are Necru. I'm using one for the top of the tank to light up the plants below. These are the same lights I use on all of my plants and reptile vivariums, and they work very well and create mass amounts of growth on my plants, especially with things like philodendron, orchid, ficuses, cryptanthas, etc. Additionally to the long strip light that I'm putting at the front of the tank, I also included a clip-on light at the rear of the tank. This is to light up the plants and help them grow, as it's in a dark area of the house. I've also added glass inlets and outlets onto the pumping system, just for that cleaner scape look. The old ins and outs were a bit nasty, and the spray bar just didn't look very good in this setup. After this, I added the botanicals that I boiled. This is to give it was more to give the baby cribs somewhere to hide, and also it increased the levels of tannins, which is good for the fish. And there's also somewhere for the shrimp to hide, shrimp to nibble on. There is a large amount of nerites in there as well. Planting the plants, the first one I planted was this large philodendron, well, medium-sized philodendron. I used some filter foam and a rubber band just to give it something to wedge between the rocks. I also trimmed the roots because they were getting a bit long. wedged this in the plant. You'll also see a Syngonium ray that's already been planted. That was just wedged between the rocks. I then added an Aglaonema and a Lucky Bamboo. Additionally to the plants growing out the back of the tank, I added some floating plants consisting of Salvina, I believe, and some duckweed. Now, this tank will be getting dosed with fertilizer, so I'm hoping the plants do grow a bit stronger, and I've already seen pearling recently. Here is the finished tank. I've moved a few things around, the fish have settled in, and it looks great. The plants have started pearling, and it's all brilliant. However, after the weekend, I took another video, and it looks even better now, especially with the tannins in the water. So here it is, here's the end result after a couple of days. I will continue to update you of how it looks in the future.